How quickly the time passes? You will never hear a junior high school kid or a teenager use this sacred term. After roughly 30 years of age, one begins to experience the inescapable sensation that time is passing like sand between your fingers. Almost every human representative is familiar with this delusion. Let's pose a reasoned query. Why? Science tells us that time is a one-dimensional, one-way phenomena that moves from a place in the past through the present and into the future. The cause will always come before the consequence, since it does not flow in reverse. It turns out that it has to flow evenly as well. Where does the appearance of its acceleration or, conversely, slowing down in this situation arise from? However, be prepared for a surprise, since the solution is found in man himself. Although time does not alter by definition, numerous internal and external influences affect how we perceive time. Our emotional state, level of business, and level of attention are internal influences. When we are completely engrossed in something intriguing, time seems to pass quickly. However, each minute might seem to last forever if we are impatient or bored. Our perspective of time is also influenced by outside forces. The pace of our life, our traditions, and our daily routines might give the impression that time is moving more slowly or more quickly. Time may seem to move more slowly when we are in unfamiliar or novel circumstances because we are paying more attention to every nuance and impression. However, time passes without our being aware of it when we carry out routine duties that don't call for our whole concentration. Furthermore, the past that is not recalled might seem to pass quickly, whilst the past that is remembered can leave more vivid and permanent memories in our mind. Albert Einstein, for instance, was the first to describe how time behaves erratically in space. Massive objects with strong gravitational pull have an impact on the speed of time. The International Space Station's change of time indicators are impacted by the closeness of the ISS to Earth, which is also ascribed to such entities. Generally speaking, anything, including an apple, warps space and alters time. Simply put, such minute changes cannot yet be accurately calculated. Another crucial factor is the aircraft's speed. In relation to an observer on Earth, time will move more slowly the higher you are flying or traveling in a rocket. But what if we don't go to other planets in space, don't reside on the International Space Station, and time doesn't behave like a raving husky as we get older? This has a scientific explanation, but it has nothing to do with the fundamental laws of physics. Here, psychology and philosophy are relevant. Our perceptions of time vary. In actuality, each person's sense of time is unique and subjective. It can change according to our mental state, the things we go through, and what we do. Time may seem to pass more quickly when we are focused or involved in an interesting activity, for instance. On the other hand, every minute might feel like an eternity while we are waiting or bored. Additionally, as we progress through life, our perspective of time might alter. Children, for instance, could feel as though time goes by slowly, whilst adults might feel as though time passes without a thought. This is so because our expectations, habits, and life experiences all affect how we see time. Thus, despite the fact that time itself is constant, how we experience it can vary and be unique. This explains why, despite time appearing to run evenly, we occasionally have its sensation of speeding up or slowing down. The next time you feel that time is passing quickly or slowly, simply remember that this is only your impression. Time is still what it always has been. In the first scenario, people supposedly consider conventional temporal scales, the timepiece, the calendar, and the daily schedule. In the second, our subjective perception of time is clouded by the sheer volume of events that have transpired in a particular space of time. The first justification is found here. The slower it moves, the more intriguing saturated occurrences there were throughout the interval. This is the uniqueness of psychological human awareness. We are all aware that throughout childhood, the days and years creep slowly upward like a freight train before abruptly accelerating extremely fast after a certain point. What makes a child's and an adult's view of time different? A newborn explores the world on their own. His existence is always being filled with brand new, unknown, inexplicable sensations, impressions, or happenings. He has accumulated a lot of experience in his short existence. Let's use a simple illustration. A typical bus journey is a little incident for adults, but it's a big experience for kids. The conversions between a child's birthday and an adult's birthday can be used to attempt to track time. At age 7, a year is filled with a lot of different events. The first time was in first grade and involved making new friends, learning a lot of interesting facts, attending matinees on New Year's Eve, buying a long-desired bicycle, and going on thrilling treks. The removal of a kidney stone might be the most important occasion of the year at 50. As a result, given that the time period was lacking in good, intriguing impressions, one will argue that it passed unconsciously and too fast. But this is but one of the elements that influence how we perceive time. Math is another aspect that has to be brought up. The number of years lived is quite few at the age of 1 year. Each year represents a substantial chunk of a child's life and is filled with a variety of novel and interesting events. Because each year gets shorter as we age in respect to our lifetime, it may seem like time is moving more quickly. It's also important to note that our activity and emotions have a direct impact on how we perceive time. Time might feel more intense and expansive when we are in situations that make us interested, aroused, or tense. However, time might seem to pass rapidly when we are in a habit and involved in regular tasks. In light of this, it can be said that time perception is a multifaceted, customized process that depends on a variety of variables. How we see time is influenced by mathematical proportions, our emotions, and comparisons between the present and a memorable childhood. Therefore, even if time does not change in and of itself, each of us may view it differently. The ratios substantially alter in your 20s and beyond, with a year representing only 5% of your whole life. Therefore, if I may say so, the brain unconsciously views such durations as being shorter. In later age, a comparable effect catches up with entire decades, thus time subjectively moves quickly for a person. The impression of time is impacted by another aspect of the brain: the first phone call, the first crush, the first international trip. These are all things that we always remember. These are joyous experiences, strong impressions, etc. Our lives get more measured and experience-rich as we age. For adults, many decisions are simple. Everything proceeds on a roll without requiring any thinking. The adult brain has long since turned accumulated knowledge into the essential behavior algorithms, established viewpoints, and many actions are now carried out automatically without conscious thought. There is a false impression that time is moving quickly as a result. An intriguing finding: all senses are heightened in a life or death crisis, such as during combat, and mental activity is quickened. To analyze the data and draw the appropriate conclusions, it is essential to retain every little detail. It will determine a person's future course. In such circumstances, time seems to go on forever. Those who have miraculously escaped a life-threatening fall from a height notice that the seconds of flight seem to go on forever. When you are genuinely bored, the same result happens. A valid query is raised. What are the options? How may things be made better? You don't want to act like the guests at a crazy tea party after you become 30. We destroy time, according to Alice, the Hatter, and the Rabbit. Your brain's autopilot should be disabled. Be creative in your problem solving. Travel and pick up new languages. Take in knowledge, practice meditation. Look in the journal. Finally, alter your surroundings. In other words, make life happier. They munch sunflower seeds while sitting on the stoop, talking about passersby and restrooms. Then your subjective longevity will rise as a result of your brain's reward. Time will begin to rule you until you learn to control it.